These fucking tires. All right, what's going on, boys? We're live. UFC Fight Night, CAG, back at it. I'm going to break down the whole card, top to bottom, like we do. Try to find the winners. Had the week off last week. No UFC, which was nice to not grind 30 hours of tape. But we're here. We're ready. 14 fights this week. We're getting the whole bag, boys. All right, first fight, Aaron Blanchfield, JJ Aldridge. Yeah, I like Aaron Blanchfield a lot here. She was really good in her last fight against Miranda Maverick. Everybody thinks of Miranda Maverick as a very solid wrestler / boxer, kind of, right? But she was outclassed for 3 rounds straight against Blanchfield. Dominant decision. She looked very, very good. And she still has some issues. She's really hittable. She basically has no striking defense at all, Aaron Blanchfield. But she's a true wrestler with very good cardio and suffocating top control. And in this fight, that's all she's going to need against JJ Aldridge, who is currently right now at Elevation Fight Team with Miranda Maverick. So I'm sure she's been in her ear all fight camp trying to figure out what not to do against Aaron Blanchfield. Is it going to work? Probably not. JJ Aldridge sucks. She's a better striker probably than Blanchfield, I guess. That's where it ends. But like I said on that earlier show, it doesn't matter really because these aren't men where you really have to worry about getting caught and getting knocked out when you're going for takedowns. JJ Aldridge is not knocking out Aaron Blanchfield, whether she's better on the feet or not, right? So she does have 72% takedown defense, JJ Aldridge, but she hasn't fought many real wrestlers, right? Everybody's going to look at that JJ Aldridge win over Jillian Robinson. They're going to be like, well, Jillian Robinson's a phenomenal grappler. So clearly she's going to be able to deal with Aaron Blanchfield, right? JJ Aldridge, not really. Because Jillian Robertson is a stud on the ground, but she's not very good at getting people to the ground. If she gets you there, you're probably dead. But she's not great at getting you there. So I think that Aaron Blanchfield is going to take JJ Aldridge down at will. She's going to have 10 to 12 minutes of control time, probably 6 to 8 takedowns. She's going to score a shit ton of points in DFS this week. I'm going to be on her big in DFS. The odds opened up Blanchfield minus 275 offshore, which was already ridiculous. Since then, she's now a $5 favorite. She's ballooned up to in the legal market. So I wouldn't tell anybody, like I said on the early show, if you want to take a shot in low-level women's MMA on somebody that's plus 350, am I ever going to tell you not to? No, because you're going to cash a lot of those tickets, right? But in terms of what I think has your highest chance of ROI, it's probably taking Aaron Blanchfield by unanimous decision around even money. I don't really see much other than that. So, yeah, Blanchfield probably by unanimous decision, even money. Renat Fakhretdinov against Andreas Michailidis. So we were talking about this again earlier on the DFS show. These guys are fighting at 170 pounds. Why? I have no idea. Michailidis has fought at 205. Both of them have been at 185 for the majority of their career. So why they're at 170 pounds, I have no idea. I was stunned that they both made weight, but they did. So Michailidis, you wouldn't know it, right, from the 3 fights that he's had in the UFC, but he's a multi-time European kickboxing champion. Over a decade ago, he was a European jiu-jitsu champion. So, you know, he has accolades, I guess, but sometimes he looks good and sometimes he looks like complete dog shit. He's fought 3 times for the UFC. His last fight, he didn't have much of a chance against Alex Pereira. He got dropped with a flying knee in the 2nd round. Before that, he beats KB Bular, which means dick. And in his first fight, he lost to Modestas Bukauskas, right, by KO. Now, it was questionable, but still, Modestas Bukauskas, that's his only win in 4 fights in the UFC so far. Is that a great sign? Not really. But I guess you could call the decision was questionable, right? How it ended. Okay. But from what I've seen of the kid, his cardio isn't great. His chin isn't great. He throws huge swinging hooks that don't seem all that technical. He has solid leg kicks, and he plods forward for the most part, right? Striking defense still has a ton of holes in it, which makes him hittable for sure. And then on the other side of the cage, we have more question marks. Rinat Fakhretdinov has looked good on tape, but his level of competition is just pure tomato cans. They're garbage, right? Eric Spicely KO in 2022 doesn't mean anything. Anybody watching this show right now could probably knock Eric Spicely out. So that's not impressive. He doesn't have many wins against people that I respect, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that he's not going to get the job done here. Forgive me, I'm trying to watch Cup Series practice and do this show at the same time. Tire issues are a problem, though, early. Anyway, Fakhretdinov, he's a bit wild himself. He's usually walking forward. He has solid top control wrestling, right? But you never know if he's going to use it. So at the end of the day, I think Rinat Fakhretdinov deserves probably to be the favorite, but it feels a little too wide to me based on the level of competition that he's beaten. I just don't see it, man. I have a hard time backing him here at that price. So if you're looking for an angle, probably the under 2.5 rounds or the fight doesn't go the distance as a parlay piece was what I was looking at. At least as of right now. Aside from that, it's probably a pass. Jeff Molina against Zhalgas Zhumagulov. I like Jeff Molina, right? He's at the best gym right now in the world with James Krause at Glory. He's got one of the best training partners in the world right now with Brandon Moreno. There's a lot to like about the kid. He throws a shit ton of volume. He never gets tired. And if you give him the type of fight that he wants, he can pick you apart all fight, right? But there are concerns. He only defends 3.7 of every 10 takedowns, which is not good. That's not a good sign. And aside from that, he absorbs 6 significant strikes per minute, which is crazy. Now, he lands 8 significant strikes per minute, but 6 significant strikes per minute is a ton of damage to take, right? But I still like him. These people that he fights, right, especially where he is right now, he's not ranked yet. He's still up and coming. A lot of these guys, it's really hard for them to keep up with the pace that he sets in a 15-minute fight, right? He landed 120 significant strikes in the 3rd round before. So you're going to beat a lot of fighters in this division just based on the cardio edge that he has alone. But like I said, I have concerns. I am going to fade this kid at some point. But this is not the week. It's not the week, I don't think. Zhumagulov probably is going to take Jeff Molina down a couple times. But Molina always works his way back to his feet, right? That should be enough here. As long as he can stay on his feet, I think that this is enough to beat Zhumagulov, especially if he has that output that he has in the 3rd round, like most fights. So he opened a -200 favorite offshore. I wish I had these lines offshore. I'm probably going to have to throw money in one of these accounts. Since then, Zhumagulov's taken about 25, 30 cents. I think the line seems fair, but I'm not going to lay the number right now on any of these guys. So I think probably Molina by decision plus 125 is probably the best angle in this fight, in my opinion, if you need to bet this one. Aside from that, I don't see a lot here. Johnny Munoz, Tony Gravely, tough fight to call. I still haven't decided. I've been back and forth on it for about 4 days now. Title, I did the show with Title and DC earlier on the Run Pure Sports side, and they were both back in Gravely. I mean, I guess both guys I think are solid strikers. Gravely definitely has better top control wrestling and cage control, and Johnny Munoz definitely has a better submission grappling game, right? So trying to pick the winner, I think, it's hard. Obviously, our guy Gavin, that is on the Kegcasts with me on Saturdays for the UFC. I talked to him about the fight. He leaned taking Johnny Munoz by decision at plus 400. I think that could happen. I think he can also win by submission at plus 275. But again, if we're being fair, Tony Gravely could win this fight by KO or decision himself. So it's a very tough one to call. I'm probably not going to bet the fight because I don't know who's going to win. I'm going to pick Molina. I'm sorry. I'm going to pick. I don't know who I'm going to pick. Pass. Tough fight. Nicholas Stoltzy versus Benoit St. Denis. Last time we saw this dude, Alessio Dos Santos gave him brain damage and almost killed him. Literally. He took a beating. If we're thinking about the worst beatings in the last 12 months, he might have taken the worst beating of anybody in the UFC in a 3-round fight in the last 12 months. I mean, I guess Chris Matino's in there with O'Malley, but O'Malley does not throw shots like Alessio Dos Santos does. And he landed 10 significant strikes per minute in that fight. So, I mean, it was so bad they pulled the referee because they thought the referee was going to let somebody get killed. So there are a ton of question marks. The kid's tough, clearly. Is he a solid fighter? I don't know. Or can he just get his ass kicked well? I don't know the answer. All that said, though, I think that he's a good grappler. His submission game is legit. Of his 8 MMA wins, 7 of them are by submission. So you would think if he wins the fight, probably he's going to be by submission. On the feet, I'm not impressed at all. He has power, but he has no technique. But he's a physical kid. And when he's having his way in a fight, he's picking you up, he's slamming you on your back, and he's choking you out. That's what he's doing in a perfect world, right? But I think the verdict is still out on this kid because the last fight was a tough look. Now, granted, he did get thrown to the wolves. That's a tough first fight in the UFC against an animal like that. But still, he got his ass beat. As for Nicholas Stoltzy, big step down in class from Dos Santos, right? So, but this kid is not very good either. He's probably more technical on the feet, I guess. He's got wicked calf kicks for sure. Doesn't have a ton of power, but his cardio seems pretty good. Seems like he'll be there for 3 rounds, right? So it seems like a pretty even fight to me. But I can't bet a guy off a beating like that anymore. I tried with Chris Matino after he got his ass beat by O'Malley, and Guido Canetti dropped the kid in the first round. I took the L. It was a horrible bet in retrospect, right? So I don't know. But for that reason alone, I can't back Benoit St. Denis. So the line opened pretty wide offshore. Stoltzy's taking some money because that initial line was absurd. So right now, I probably won't bet a side in this fight because I think there are a ton of question marks. But my lean would be Nicholas Stoltz by plus 140-ish, or him in the over 1.5 rounds at plus 220. I don't really see much aside from that, and I probably won't bet that fight. Odi Osborne, Zaruk Adeshev. I'm stunned that Zaruk Adeshev is still on the roster. The Guy's 4-3 with 7 pro fights, and half of these fights have been in the UFC. So he's got to know somebody somewhere to still be on this roster. Like we were talking about earlier, the first thing that sticks out is Odi Osbourne has an 8-inch reach advantage, which is substantial considering that all Zaruk Adeshev is a kickboxer. He's a one-dimensional type of guy. So an 8-inch reach advantage is pretty big. He doesn't do a ton in the cage aside from striking, right? And that's when he decides to pull the trigger. Sometimes he doesn't. He stood there and did absolutely nothing against Suma Derji and lost a convincing unanimous decision. But I thought for sure that was going to be his last fight in the UFC, but it wasn't. Then they bring him back against somebody that actually is solid in Ryan Benoit, and Adeshev looked good. He threw way more volume. He got a really nice decision win against a guy that had beaten some solid competition. So at the very best, we have no idea which version of Zaruk Adeshev is going to show up. Is it the guy that got his ass beat by Suma Derji, or is it the guy that put together 3 solid rounds against Ryan Benoit? I don't know. I don't know the answer. Odi Osbourne comes in off the win against CJ Vergara. He was just a better striker, and he's usually the better striker for the first round and a half. He's not great. He's also pretty one-dimensional, but at least he attempts takedowns. At least he tries to implement a wrestling game plan sometimes, which makes you think a little bit. He's not just a striker like Adeshev is. But my main worry is it's tough to bet a guy that wins decisions, but he loses the significant strike count because he gets so badly outstruck in the 3rd round of some of these fights that he ends up with less significant strikes than his opponent, even when he wins. That's a big, big red flag, right? He opened offshore minus 280, which is absurd. Adeshev has taken money. You would expect he would. Even still, right now, I'm not laying minus 180 on Odi Osbourne. I'm not taking the KO prop on him at minus 150 on Odi Osbourne. But I said on the show, I think that this has split decision written all over it. Why do I say that? Because Odi Osbourne's MO is usually he wins the first round soundly. He just edges out the second round, maybe, most times. And then he gets destroyed in the 3rd round because he has no cardio at all in the 3rd round. He's got 10 minutes. That's all he's got. So this could be one of those fights where he wins the 1st round, the 2nd round's close, and then Adeshev comes in the 3rd round. Odi Osbourne's dead tired. He's got nothing left. And Adeshev pieces him up. What does that equal? Greasy split decision at plus 600. That's the way that I'm going to probably bet this fight. I'm probably going to shoot my shot at 6-1 because there is a real path here for a split decision. Damon Jackson against Daniel Argueta. I'm surprised that we're seeing this kid about 30 days after he just won the LFA bantamweight title in a 5-round fight on May 6th against Diego Silva. I watched the fight. It was solid. But now he comes to the UFC, jumps up a weight class, and he's going to fight Damon Jackson. That's a tall task. That feels crazy to me because Damon Jackson is a stud. I think he's probably better than this kid everywhere. He's a way better striker. He's got way better takedowns. He has great top control. He's extremely active even when he's in full guard. I just don't see how Damon Jackson's going to lose the fight against a kid that, he's fighting behind the 8 ball this week with what he's just done in the last month. So he's the biggest favorite on the card, I think, for a reason. So it's going to be really hard to try to find an angle here. Jackson's got, 20 wins right now in MMA. 15 of them are by submission. So obviously, you know that the submission prop is going to be low. It's only even money. I don't know if I could bet it at even money, but if you do like the individual round props by submission, like Damon Jackson in round one and round two by submission, or round two and round three, if you think that we're going to see a second round here, I don't mind that because the prices are probably pretty solid 3-1, 5-1, 8-1, somewhere around there. So that would probably be the route that I would go because your only chance of betting a favorite that's this big is to find a way to try to get some plus money on them. Aside from that, you're not laying it, right? So I don't see a ton here other than that. Joe Selecki, Alex De Silva. Thought I was going to be on Joe Selecki going into the tape. I came out the other side. I was on Alex De Silva. I was impressed with this kid. Watched a few of his fights. Looked very good in a loss to Brad Riddell. Had multiple takedowns in the first round of that fight. He won the first round. Then he started to get his ass beat, and Brad Riddell won a decision. But Brad Riddell is a top 10 guy. He's a stud. He could potentially be a future champion. So, if he was down to bang and stand with Brad Riddell for 15 minutes, I think that he's going to be able to probably get Joe Selecki down to the ground early and keep him there early. So Joe Selecki's a very, 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 very good submission grappler. He's got solid wrestling, especially his top control. But aside from that, he's not that good, man. His striking is shitty. Lost to Jared Gordon last time out. Before that, he beats Jim Miller, right? Jim Miller, who I love to death, but is a fossil at this point in his career. And Jim Miller still took that kid down at will early in that fight. So I think that the best thing Joe Selecki has going for him in this fight is cardio, first and foremost. And after that, maybe he can catch De Silva and get a submission, but I don't really see it, man. I don't really see it. Looking at the prices, though, De Silva opened offshore plus 205, which was crazy. It's gotten closer since then. Obviously, the legal market slimmed it down. I like taking the shot on the dog here. I think this kid's game. You could find plus 145. I saw plus 150 yesterday in a couple spots. And I think that the hedge, like I said earlier, is if this kid De Silva gasses out in the third round, Joe Selecki could definitely submit this kid. So I think that your small hedge is Joe Selecki round 3 sub at 16-1. Like a tenth of a unit just to back yourself up if De Silva goes down. So that's the route I would go. Taking a shot with De Silva on the money line in that plus 145 range, and then tiny hedge by taking that Selecki round 3 sub at 16-1. Aside from that, I don't see anything. Felice Herod, Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Fuck me. I mean, the fact that I have to talk about this fight. Karolina Kowalkiewicz, we found out today on the DFS show, is in the middle of a historic run. She has lost 5 fights in a row. The UFC record is BJ Penn at 7. She's looked really bad in all 5 fights. She could break the record if they keep her on the roster. Now, granted, we have to say this. Her last 5 opponents were Jessica Andrade, Michelle Waterson, Yan Xiaonan, Jessica Panay, and Alexa Grasso, right? So if we're being fair to Karolina Kowalkiewicz, this is a gigantic step down in class against Felice Herod, right? But she's been through it, man. She got a boob job. She got hurt. She's been tapped out knocked out. I don't see what her motivation is anymore to want to fight. She clearly doesn't want to get hit in the face anymore. All you have to do is watch her fights. She hates it, right? And then the girl that she's fighting, Felice Herrig, is selling foot fetish photos on OnlyFans. For real. So, like, this is what we're doing in 2022. Now, the last win that Karolina Kowalkiewicz had 6 fights ago, back in 2018, was Felice Herrig, right? Karolina Kowalkiewicz won a split decision in that fight. It was a very close fight. But what concerned me was Felice Herrig tried 6 times to take Karolina Kowalkiewicz down in that fight. And she went 0 for 5 or 0 for 6. She had a hard time getting her down. If she can get her down, I think Felice Herrig cruises. If she can get 3 takedowns, she's going to cruise. Because Karolina Kowalkiewicz is not getting back up, right? She almost never gets back up, right? So the problem is she going to be able to get her down? I don't know the answer to that. If she can't get her down, this has split decision written all over it, man. If she can get her down for 1 round and the other 2 are close, it still has split decision written all over it. So I'm not putting my money on either of these chicks in a million years. But I am going to bet this decision prop at 4-1. Because if Herrig doesn't get the fight to the ground, I really think that we cash that ticket. So that's all I've got here. And that's too much. Alonzo Menifield, Askar Mazarov. Some really weird shit going on around this fight, too. Supposedly, Mazarov may have up to 8 fake fights on his record. And he took dives early in his career for money. And he's fought under 3 different names. But I don't know, man. Dana White is a fucking lunatic and is probably still going to let this kid fight on the card. But yeah, man, there's some shady shit going around, right? So my first thought about this guy is fuck this guy. My money will be nowhere near him. I don't care if he drops Alonzo Menifield in 30 seconds. I can't back a guy that may or may not be lying, may or may not have wins. I can't do it. What sucks is I'm not high on Alonzo Menifield because if I was, I would have a big bet on him here. But he's not that good, man. If we're being honest, he's not that good. I wish I thought that this can go 3 rounds because I would bet Alonzo Menifield by unanimous decision at a plus 1,200. But how does this go 3 rounds? I don't see it. I really don't see it. I think this fight probably ends in the first round. Title on the DFS show liked Menifield by submission, which I didn't really think about at all. I guess it's possible, though. If you have to bet the fight, I would say Menifield in round 1 at plus 170 on FanDuel is probably the only shot. Maybe an under 1.5 rounds as a parlay piece at minus 210. But I don't feel great about it because I don't rate Alonzo Menifield very high. That's the problem. Nevertheless, I'm going to pick him against this fucking guy for sure. Next fight, Karine Silva versus Poliana Botello. Yeah, so first thing that stood out to me was 14 wins Karine Silva has. 9 knockouts, 5 submissions. And you don't see, the only women that you see doing things like that is Amanda Nunes, Chris Cyborg, Valentina Shevchenko. So that's impressive, right? The problem is she's been fighting absolute tomato can jokes That's the problem. But she does have real power for a woman. She throws with super bad intentions, but she gasses herself out because she puts absolutely everything into every punch she throws. And by the second or third round, she's in a bad way. She's not a bad grappler. She's really good. She's active off her back, and she's a dangerous finisher, right? Poliana Botello, I don't like at all. I don't think she's very good. I don't rate her high. The only thing I think she has going for her in this fight is she has legitimate UFC experience, I guess. But the problem is she sucks. She's got zero hand speed. She doesn't throw combinations ever. It's always one and done 90% of the time with her, right? And if she gets taken down, she's not capable of getting back up. She will be there until the bell rings. So it is hard to get her down. Her takedown defense isn't bad. But if you get her there, she's going to stay there. Now, we were talking about this on the DFS show. Everybody's talking about how she was losing that Contender Series fight until she won it. That girl that she was fighting was a grown-ass man, like a legit dude. That probably destroys Poliana Botello, if we're being honest, right? But she weathered the storm. She was dead tired, and she still got the guillotine off and got it, right? But my biggest worry for her by far is the level of competition. Has not been very good at all. So I think that both these women could finish the fight. I think that Karine Silva can finish this fight in rounds 1, 2, and 3, probably. But where it gets interesting is if she gasses out that bad again and she's got to go 6 minutes absolutely dead, it wouldn't surprise me if Poliana Botello somehow found a finish in the third round just because Silva was dead tired. That's a possibility, right? Because she's raw, and we definitely still have to see more. But I'm gonna pick Silva here. I think she gets it done. She opened 190. She's down to minus 125 right now, which makes a ton more sense because at least people know who Poliana Botello is. Obviously, she's been on the UFC roster for a bit now. So I'm going to lean Silva here, but I do think it's a sneaky fight in DFS. And I don't think I'm going to bet this fight. Let me just see what her odds are. So she is plus 550 to win this fight by knockout, and she's 4.5 to 1 to win by submission. Every win that the girl has is by knockout or submission. So I might throw a little bit of money on her. Gavin's going to yell at me probably when he watches this video, but I might throw a little bit of money on her for the finish. It's probably dumb, but I'll probably do it. So yeah, give me Karine Silva here. All right, next fight. Fuck. What do we got next? We got 7 people watching this video right now. There's like 70 people watching an NBA show on this channel when there's no NBA today. And we got 7 people watching the fucking video. I mean, what are we doing? My guy Tyler's here. She got a boob job. All right, Mike Trizano, Lucas Almeida. I like Mike Trizano. I'm a fan. He's a tough dude. And he's always going to fight for your money. He's not great really at anything, but he's very solid everywhere. Good cardio, good takedowns. He's a solid striker. He can roll on the mat. He is durable as a mother, right? He just doesn't do anything that blows you away. You know what I mean? He lost two of the last three against Hakeem Dawodu and Grant Dawson, but he has a solid win over Ludwig Klein. And despite those losses, he's won 4 of his 6 fights in the UFC or Bellator against decent competition. Now, are there things that worry me about him? Yeah. He absorbs more significant strikes per minute than he lands. That's never a great thing. I do think that he has a good wrestling base, but he doesn't even average 1 takedown per 15 minutes. That's concerning because he should average way more than that. He's got the skills to take people down. I don't know why he doesn't do it more often. But 1 takedown per 15 minutes is just not going to do it in the UFC over the long haul. Now, I don't know a lot about Lucas Almeida. I watched this Contender Series fight against El Huber. He looked good in the first round, clearly lost round 2 and 3. I watched his last 4 fights at Jungle Fight. He's a true 155er. The fight against Trezano, though, is at 145. How is he going to deal with that weight difference? I'm not sure. That's a question mark. What we know about him is when he wins, he has a 100% finish rate. And it's not just round 1 or bust. He's finished guys in the 2nd round, in the 3rd round, in the 5th round. So you would think that his cardio is going to be good and it should hold up. I didn't really see cardio issues, but I only knew one of his former opponents from Jungle Fight. So the level of competition, it's really not there. He's a bit wild as far as his technique. Throws like really big looping hooks. They're not really accurate. But if he hits the button, he gets the job done like most people in the UFC, right? His background's all Muay Thai striking, but he can roll. I don't know if he's got a black belt submission game. As a matter of fact, I think it's a purple belt, but he can roll, right? Can he win this fight? Yeah, Lucas Almeida can, I think. But his takedown defense is awful. And if Mike Trezano wants to put him on his back, I think that he could. But you never know if that's the route that Mike Trezano is going to go. And that's my issue with Mike Trezano. The line opened offshore, Trezano minus $1.80. Last time I checked, he was minus 225. So he's taking money, and I get it. He's way more proven than Lucas Almeida is. But do I think that Mike Trezano's a guarantee here? No. I'm going to lean Trezano wins the fight, but I wasn't going to bet him at minus $1.80, never mind minus 220. If he wins, though, it's probably by decision. So I would say if you want to bet the fight, Trezano by decision at plus 110 is probably the best route. And like I said this, if I knew he was going to chain takedown attempts for 15 minutes, I would 100% be on Mike Trezano here. But I just don't know if he's going to do that. So as of right now, I'm probably going to pass. But if you're looking for an angle, my opinion, probably Trezano decision is the best way to go. I picked a bad time to do this show. What's up, Adam? How are you, bud? Dan Ige, Movsar Evloev, co-main event. All right. This is the best fight on the card. It's the fight that I've been looking forward to the most, for sure. My issue is I like Movsar Evloev a lot. I followed the kid before he was on the UFC roster. I knew who he was. I knew he was going to be a truck. We cashed on him early, right out of the gate, right? Before the numbers started to get a little ridiculous. This number is ridiculous. Okay. Do I think that Movsar Evloev probably wins the fight? Yeah, because what happened with Zombie was concerning with Dan Ige. That being said, Dan Ige should not be plus 320. That's absurd, bro. That's absurd. He is a way better striker. He is very good in scrambles. He's way more tested, way more proven against better fighters. So, you guys know what I'm going to say. You know the game. You bet the number, not the fighter. I expect to lose this bet. But as long as you keep betting these plays over the long haul, these small advantage plays, it's going to work out in your favor and you're going to win more than you would think and you'll be profitable long term. So I'll pay to see it. If Movsar Evloev is going to take him down for 3 rounds and he's going to drown him like it could definitely happen, fine. I'll take the L and I'll be perfectly okay with it because Dan Ige should not be plus 320. It's absurd. So, give me Dan Ige here, and whatever happens, happens. I'll be on the next ridiculous line, too. But my gut says Movsar Evloev probably wins this fight. But Dan Ige's live enough for me to bet him. So I'm on him at plus 320. All right, the main event, Alexander Volkov against Georginio Rozenstruik. The boys were all over me on the DFS show. I'm not that good at picking Alexander Volkov fights, I guess. The last one, I was on him against Tom Aspinall. I was the only one on him on the show of the 3 guys. It was an awful call. He just couldn't deal with Tom Aspinall's speed, couldn't deal with Tom Aspinall's power, and he looked terrible. He looked bad. He lost bad. But he's still in the upper echelon of the heavyweight division. He's a top 10 staple. He's a very good heavyweight striker. He's put on size the last few years. It's worked out for him. Now, anybody that has known me the last 4 years knows how many times that I've been on Georginio Rozenstruik, right? We've been on him a lot. Sometimes it works out for us, and sometimes it doesn't work out for us, right? Because the guy does not throw his hands. He doesn't want to punch. 12 significant strikes per round, 12 and a half. In a 5-round fight, he may land 55 to 60 significant strikes. I can't do it anymore. I can't sit here on Saturdays anymore and watch my money go down the drain on Rozenstruik because he sits there and does not throw punches. I give up. I'm tapping out. I'm done. So give me Alexander Volkov. I think he's going to win a decision. I really do. I can only look towards Volkov. Most people are going to be on, you're either going to take Rozenstruik by KO at plus 210 because it's the only way he can win a fight, or you're probably going to take Alexander Volkov by decision at plus 165. I'm good with taking Volkov either the money line or the decision line because I just think that he's a better fighter overall. I can't back a guy that won't throw punches anymore. I can't. And watch, because you know that Rozenstruik is capable of knocking Volkov out anytime he wants. He just doesn't do it. Why he doesn't throw punches, I don't know. But I expect we're going to be somewhere in round 3, and he's going to land a bomb, and Alexander Volkov is going to drop, and I'm just going to sigh, probably. But nevertheless, I'm not betting him. Give me Alexander Volkov here. I'm off the Rozenstruik train. I'm done. Aside from that, boys, that's every fight on the card. Broken down. 45 minutes straight. It's what we do. It's what we do here at Run Pure Bets. Obviously, You should all join Run Pure Bets. We're profitable. The website will be 2 years old in August. We've been doing it 2 years in August. We're up 100 and something units probably in the 2 years. Every play is documented, over like 5,000 plays. You guys can use the promo code BETS 25 off. It'll give you 25% off the first week or month. It'll cost you $40 for the first month. All the picks, a ton of content, access to the Discord, which is invaluable in my opinion, because there are a ton of sharp people in that Discord. I don't know. It's just great. And then obviously we have the live betting package for an extra $10 a week. If you guys want to join that, about 20 hours a week of live betting content. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be doing it because I really don't want to charge people. I don't know. We'll see. But right now you could sign up if you want to. Aside from that, boys, I hope you all crush it today. I hope that you don't lose another bet this entire weekend. I hope your action runs pure. Whether you fade me, whether you tail me, just get that money. I'll be back Sunday morning with Coop. I think we're going to go before the DFS show. Sunday at 11 a.m. is my plan to do the NASCAR show on the bet side. And then on the DFS side, it'll be 1 o'clock on Sunday like it normally is. It'll be me and Coop on both videos. JJ will be on the DFS video. And then I'll be live tonight for the Rangers game. I'll be live all day and night tomorrow. UFC, 2 NASCAR races. And then Sunday we have the NASCAR race. And if it's a good weekend, I'm going to try to bribe my friend Tyler to come and hang out with me for the NBA Finals Game 2 on Sunday night, as long as it's a good weekend. If it's a bad weekend, nah, we'll see. But yeah, ton of content. There'll be baseball videos. JJ and Joey do the Sunday baseball video at noon with Holden, so check that out. Tyler and Spread will be doing the NBA rundowns. I'm sure there will be one on Sunday because Game 2 of the NBA Finals is on Sunday. And aside from that, boys, I've got nothing. Regardless of what you bet, I hope your action runs pure this weekend, and I'll see you this weekend. Later.